first of all, if you're going to sell something high ticket, it's a different animal than if you're selling low ticket, right? Like if you're going to try to sell pizza, then that's a very different thing than if you're trying to sell like a high ticket consulting service or a high ticket agency or coaching service. You need to build a higher level of trust with the person. And you also want to qualify the person a lot more. Just about anybody will buy pizza. But if you're going to sell like a business consulting, then it's only a small subsegment of people that are going to be able to buy that. And you really want to be able to filter for the people that are actually able and willing to pay for it. So whenever you are, let me start my Google Doc here. Whenever you are selling high ticket, there are 3 requirements essentially. These are 3 things that you have to do. And this is regardless if you're running YouTube ads or you're doing Facebook ads or like any way of selling high ticket, it's always going to be the same in terms of these 3 requirements. The first thing you got to do is acquire your lead. So you got to get somebody to give you their contact information, and preferably the right person to give you their contact information. Because if you get a bunch of people that are on Social Security and food stamps and like don't have 2 pennies to rub together, and you sell a $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 program, you're probably just going to be wasting your time and spinning your wheels. So like you got to acquire the leads, but you also have to acquire good leads. The second part is to nurture those leads. That is, you get them because at the point that you're acquiring the leads, at some point they don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't trust you. That you have to build that trust, build that familiarity in the person's mind. This is where they talk about KLT, know, like, trust. They have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you before they're going to spend any significant amount of money with you. And this is especially the case if you're selling something like coaching or consulting that doesn't actually exist, right? It's a little bit different than if you're selling them a car, let's say. You know, they can feel the car, they can look at it, they can test drive it. But if you're selling something that, hey, I'm going to build this computer system out for you, I'm going to build this funnel, I'm going to build these ads, or I'm going to teach you how to do this thing. Well, there's nothing tangible about that. So you got to build a significantly higher level of trust. And that's what we do in step 2, which is nurturing the person. And then finally, once the person is sufficiently nurtured, then we want to convert them. So we want to turn them from a lead into a client. That's what I mean by convert. So our system is going to have to go through these 3 steps, and it's going to have to go through these 3 steps in order. It has to acquire leads, nurture leads, then convert those leads into customers. So here is the process that I use to do this over and over again on autopilot. It starts with an ad. We run ads on YouTube to the type of person that we want to acquire as leads and eventually to become our clients. And I'll get into the specifics on each of these in a little bit more depth in a moment. So we're going to run an ad. In the ad, we're going to say, hey, are you interested in this free training that we've got? If so, then click the button and opt in. So they click on the ad, they go to a page that asks for their name and their contact information. In return, we're going to give them a free training, which is a VSL, or video sales letter for short. This is a free training where we're going to teach them about our way of doing things, and then we're going to offer them the chance to apply to work with us and book a call. So at the end of the VSL, you're going to say, hey, if you'd like us to do our thing for you, if you'd like to learn more about what we can do for you, if you'd like us to do this for you, if you'd like to work one-on-one with us so we can consult you, whatever your offer is, then click the button below and apply to work with us. So next step will be an application. They'll go to a short application, which is just a form that asks them some questions about themselves. And then after the application, then they will go to a page where they can book a call, right? They'll book a call in your calendar. You'll take the call, and then you'll sell them over the call. So that's it. 5 steps: ad to opt-in to VSL to application to call. That's the whole funnel here. And then, well, there's one extra step here, sort of, that's optional but recommended, and that is emails. So you'll have some people that you're going to have people that fall off in this process, right? So you're going to have some people who will opt in, and maybe they watch the VSL, maybe they don't, but they do not go on to the next step and book an application. Well, because you have that person's contact information, you might as well follow up with them. Send them an email. Said, hey, did you get a chance to watch the free training? Here it is again. And then you send them another email saying, hey, I noticed you didn't take us up on our offer to talk to us about how we can implement this thing for you. If so, here's the link to the application. Right? So the nice thing about email follow-up is it's free. You already paid to get the lead. So your email, you can send as many emails as you want, and it's going to get you more of the people that were leads. It's going to give you a higher percentage of them that follow through with the rest of the process. Okay, so let me go through each of these steps, like what it's supposed to do. So for our ad, and one more thing I forgot to mention, these 3 requirements, this system is covering the bases of all these 3 requirements. So look, the first requirement is to acquire. How are we acquiring the lead? Well, it's our ad and our opt-in form that are acquiring the lead. Next, after that, after we acquire the lead, then we have to nurture that lead. How are we nurturing that lead? Well, through our VSL, and optionally, our email sequence is nurturing that lead. They're telling them more about us, more about our system, more about how we work, and they're getting familiarized with how we operate, what our process is. We're building that know, like, and trust factor through the VSL and through the email. So we're doing our nurture with that. And then the application is mostly just to qualify, which I didn't put in the 3 requirements because it's not necessarily required, just suggested. And then finally, the call is meant to convert. So the person's interested, they decided to book a call with us. This is where we turn their interest into action and get them to actually give us money for our thing. So that's how the process works, and that's why it works, because we're covering all 3 of these bases within the process. Now, for our ad, what are we doing exactly in our ad? I'm going to keep this kind of high level here because I don't want this video to end up being super long. But what we're doing in our ad is, 1, we're calling out our audience. So who is it that you want as a customer? You put that in your ad. So for me, I might say, if you are a business that offers a high ticket service and you would like to get more leads and more sales, that would be me calling out my audience, right? My audience are business owners that sell a high ticket thing. And then I'm also getting into kind of part of calling out your audience is, what do they want? So in my case, they want more leads and more sales. It could also be, what do they want to avoid? Like, what do they want to escape from? Like, it could be how to beat depression, for example. That would be, hey, are you somebody who suffers from depression that would like to not suffer from depression? And you can, it's kind of implied too, right? So if you say, hey, would you like to beat depression once and for all? Well, the implied call out is that you're talking to somebody who has depression. If your target audience is more specific than that, then call that out as well. So if you are a man over 40 who would like to lose 20 pounds or more, let's say, right? Like, if you want to work with men over 40, then you call that right out in your ad. This is important because we're trying to attract the people that we want and repel the people that we do not want, so that we're not left with a bunch of crappy leads. We only want leads that we are interested in turning into clients here. So first of all, the ad will call out our audience. Then it will introduce our method. Now, this is a really important distinction that a lot of people get wrong. You are not selling your product here, right? Trying to sell a high ticket product directly from an ad to somebody who does not know you just doesn't make sense. It's like going to somebody on the street and asking them to marry you, somebody you've never seen before. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're trying to go like directly to step 3 without doing step 1 and 2. You got to build that know, like, and trust in there. So the way that you do that, and this is a major hack. This is responsible for pretty much all of my success, is figuring this part out, is you have a method that you introduce in the ad. So this is the special method that I use to get people XYZ results. And what that method is will depend on your business. So for example, my method is my 5-step YouTube ad system. That's my method. Or specifically, I could be a little bit even more broad here, and I can say YouTube ads. So in my ads, I will say, hey, did you know that the way that you get leads and sales, like the best way to get leads and sales for somebody like you is to run ads on YouTube? That's my method. Notice I didn't say the best way for you to get leads and sales is to sign up with me and pay me to build out your thing for you. I didn't say that. I didn't mention anything about my product. I'm saying the method is YouTube ads. So whatever it is that you do, whatever benefit you get for people, whatever pain that you solve for them, whatever problem that you help them to get over, you have some method of doing that. And so you want to introduce it in such a way as they understand it and it makes sense. So I'll introduce, hey, you can get these great results using YouTube ads. Like, this is the way to get leads and sales. And then I always have a because, right? Nobody's going to believe me just because I say it. I have to actually support that. So why should they believe in my method? Why should they believe me when I say that YouTube ads are the best way for them to get leads and sales? And then I'll talk about the reasons why. Like, you can target people based on what they're looking for, and it's the Google platform, and they know everything about everybody, and it's a higher intent sort of person. It's like a more serious sort of person, etc. Like, I'm not going to go into the whole spiel just for the sake of time here, but like, here's my method. Here's why it works, where all the other things that you're like, where better than all the other things that you may be considering. That's the idea. And then finally, you do a call to action, CTA for short, which is a training on your method. So you say, hey, now that you're convinced, now that I've made the case that you're at least open to the idea that YouTube ads are the best way for you to get the results that you want in your business, click here to get a free training where I show you exactly how to implement YouTube ads to get XYZ result in your business, right? And again, use that according to whatever your thing is. I found that the best way to lose weight is the paleo diet, but with certain modifications for this reason, right? So if you'd like to learn more about this, then click here. I'm going to give you a free training where I show you how to use my modified paleo diet to lose 20 pounds in the next month, whatever it is. Right. So you're offering some sort of free training. And then in addition to the free training, I'm going to put this as like a sub point. You want to hint at your offer, because there's some people out there that just like, they don't want to do your free training. They don't care about learning it themselves. They just want somebody to fix the problem for them. Especially, and this will depend on your offer, right? If you have like a done for you offer, and then you have, hey, download my free training, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because the person that wants done for you is not going to be that interested in training and learning how to do it themselves. So what I would do is I would do both. Now, the reason for this, by the way, that I do it this way is because I want that opt-in, right? I could just go straight from ad to VSL, not get the opt-in, but this gives me an excuse to get that opt-in in there, so I get the person's contact information, and I can keep on reaching out to them over and over again if they don't book a call the first time. So what I'm going to say is click here and sign up on the next page to get this free training. Or if you would like me to do it for you, then also click the link and sign up on the next page, and I'll tell you about how that works as well. Right? So I'm grabbing both types of people, and I'm getting the opt-in as well. So this is a major hack right here that I don't hear people talking about, and I kind of figured out by accident. Like the first time I did this, I didn't realize that I was doing it, and later I look back and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But I didn't even think about it while I was doing it. I only figured it out later. It's like reverse engineered my own system. Anyway, so that's the ad. So, and if you want more training on how to set up the ad specifically, like how to create high converting YouTube ads and how to set up the ad campaigns and how to create the videos, all that, I got other videos on my channel which will walk you step by step through exactly how to do that. But here I'm kind of keeping it high level, showing you the whole system. So that's the ad. The next part is the opt-in. The opt-in's job is to collect the person's contact information, and that's it. That's the only thing. I want to hammer that home because a lot of people are tempted to make this big, long sales page for their free opt-in, and it just shoots them in the foot because you've already made the case in your ad, right? The person clicked on your ad. They're already interested. They already want the free thing. They already know they have to fill out a form on the next page. So you don't have to convince them anymore. If you have all this copy and like videos and testimonials and all this stuff on the opt-in page, it just looks weird. It doesn't make sense. It's like, look, I'm already interested. And then, okay, well, there's all this stuff. So maybe I'm going to read this stuff. And then I see something that a testimonial of somebody that's in a slightly different industry as me. And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe it doesn't work for my industry. Never mind. Right. So you're probably doing more harm than good if you add a bunch of stuff on your opt-in page. All you got to do is collect the info. Let me show you my opt-in page so you can see just how stupid simple this is. And I'm just basically, I have like a headline, maybe a sub-headline, and I'm just repeating the thing that I said at the very end of the YouTube ad. Well, I'm saying like, okay, it's a free PDF on how to get a flood of qualified leads on autopilot with dead simple YouTube ads. And then just like one small little objection buster here, which I could probably just get rid of that and it would do the same thing. Where should I send the document? A form, and we will never spam you or sell your information. That's it. Like for people that are worried about that kind of thing, it helps just a tiny bit. But like that's all. I don't have any pictures. I don't have any videos. If you do have like one picture, like if you have a picture of your video, of your like PDF, maybe like it doesn't hurt. You can add little things here and there, but generally you want to make this stupid simple. It works better that way. Okay, so that's the opt-in page. And then the next part is the VSL. This is short for video sales letter. Now, notice on my opt-in page, by the way, I offer a free PDF. I give a PDF, but still, when you opt in here, it'll show you a VSL. In fact, I'll show you that real quick. It says the PDF is on its way to your inbox, and then it has a VSL. And that's it, right? So what if you want to do a PDF, that's fine too. It really doesn't make a huge difference here. You could make this VSL the free training that you're offering. The free training is the VSL, or the free training is a PDF, and then you automatically send the PDF to their email and then ask them to watch the VSL, right? Either way is fine. It doesn't make a difference. So in your VSL, what you want to do is you want to explain your method, right? So you introduced your method in the ad. They know about your method. They're interested. They're thinking that this makes sense. In your VSL, you want to talk a little bit more about how it works, which depending on your audience, you may want to make this a long explanation, or you may want to make this a short explanation, which, by the way, this video that you are watching right now is pretty similar in this way. Like, I'm explaining my method. That's what I'm doing here. This is a fairly long and detailed explanation, as opposed to if you have like a very busy audience, like if you're targeting successful business owners, then you may want to be short and to the point. You don't want to be like 30 minutes long, but you want to explain your method in a way that people are thinking, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I believe that it would work for me, or I believe that it could work for me, at least. That's what you're going for here. So you explain your method, and then you want to introduce your offer. You want to say, hey, I have this thing. I have this coaching program. I have this consulting package where I work one-on-one with you to implement this offer, or I create this whole thing for you and just hand you the keys. Whatever your offer is, give them a very high level of what you can do for them using the method that you have just explained. And then you give them a CTA, call to action. You say, apply and book a call. So if you're interested in this offer that I've just introduced to you, then click here to fill out this short application and book a call with me, and we'll see if it's a fit for you. We'll give you the full details and we'll see if it's a fit for you. Something like that. So you're asking them to apply and to book a call with you after you have explained your method, shown how your offer is the thing that will help them to implement the method successfully so they get the thing that they want. So then they can apply and book a call. Now, you may want to increase, you may or may not want to tell them the price right in here in the VSL. So this is like, if you're getting a whole bunch of people that don't have money, that are booking on your calendar, they can't afford it, then you may want to just tell them the price. But if that's not a problem for you, then it's probably better not to tell them the price. So it's just kind of context specific here. So that's the VSL. Next step is the application. In the application, what you want to do first of all, and most importantly, is to qualify. You want to ask questions that qualify whether or not this person is right to work with you. And here's the big secret. Use a branched paths application with multiple choice questions. Let me explain what that means. So you want a question like, you want to know if the person can afford it, for example. So if you want to know if they can afford something, depending on the offer, you might have different ways of asking that question. So for me, I can ask, what was your last month's revenue in your business? And so if the revenue was below a certain amount, then I think most likely they're not going to be able to afford what I have to offer. And so it's not worth my time to talk to them on the phone, right? So I'm not going to leave that open-ended. I'm not just going to ask them to type a number in there. I'm going to give them a multiple choice question. So I'm going to say, like, how much did you make last month? Under 5K, 5K to 10K, 10K to 30K, you know, like multiple choice where one or more of those choices I don't want to talk to, and the rest of them I do want to talk to. And then from there, I'm going to use when I said branched paths, basically a form automation which will direct people to different places based on their answers. So if the person gave an answer that says that they're not qualified, then I don't want to send them to my call booking page. I don't want to send them to my calendar. I want to just send them a message that says, thank you for your application. We'll follow up if we think it's a fit, and that's it. Or you could even just be totally honest and say, based on what you told us, we don't think that it's a good fit for this, and this reason, but what might be a better option for you is here, and like link to a YouTube channel or something like, or a competitor or whatever, something that might be helpful for them in their current situation. I mean, I like to be helpful to everybody, even if I don't believe they're going to pay me, just because it spreads goodwill. It's good karma, for lack of a better term. But the people that are qualified, you want them to go to your booking page. Now, there's another benefit to doing this, which is tracking. So obviously, you're going to send the qualified people to your calendar. So that way you're going to avoid spending your precious time talking to people that are not going to buy your offer, that aren't going to be able to afford it, or they're not the right demographic for you, or whatever your qualification terms are. So you're going to avoid talking to the people that aren't right for you, but also you're going to put your tracking code only on the page where the qualified people go. This is really important for YouTube ads because the targeting is somewhat algorithm based. And this is a little difficult to wrap your head around, but if you do, it's like it makes everything so much easier. So what happens essentially is that you have a conversion action set up that when you have a call booked, you send that information back to the ads platform and say, hey, we just got a booked call. So that is a success in the ad algorithm. And you say, this was a success. Do more like this. Show the ad to more people that were similar to this person. Now, if you're getting crappy leads and you're sending a signal every time you get a lead saying, hey, bring me more like this, that's a problem because you're teaching the algorithm to bring you more crappy leads, which is probably not what you want to be doing. You do want, and that's why we're going to cut off the people that are unqualified so they don't even go to the call booking page and they don't get registered as a conversion. You only want to register the people that are qualified because then you're sending the qualified people to, or sending the data on the qualified people back to the ad algorithm and saying, hey, bring me more people like these people. And so the algorithm gets smarter over time. It learns and it brings you more and more quality people. And then finally, the last thing that the application is nice for is to prepare for the call. So you ask them a few questions about like, what's your business, or, well, using my own information, but like, or my own example, but information that's going to be helpful for you in knowing how to sell them. So ask them about what is their current situation? What is their desired situation? Where would they like to be? What are the challenges that are keeping them from that? What are maybe like, what are the things that they've already tried before? Anything that's helpful for getting a feeling of who they are and what they're looking for before the call. So you can kind of have an idea of what you're going to say on the call. And I find it's helpful to get some sort of like link to their, I like to see their business website, or you could ask for their Instagram or their YouTube channel, or like whatever is relevant to your offer. And whatever is going to help you to prepare for the call, to understand that. And then finally, last step is the call itself, which the main purpose of the call is to fit the offer to the prospect. So here you're going to say, they already kind of know what your offer is because you talked about it in your VSL, but here they know the high level, but here you're going to get more granular on it. And if you do it well, you're going to show them why the offer is right for them specifically. That's why a call works so well. And that's why if you're doing it right, you should be asking a whole lot of questions. You should be getting to know this person, to know what are their desires, what have they tried before that hasn't worked, what are they struggling with, what are the pains that they're dealing with, what are they afraid of. You know, the more you can kind of get in their head and understand where they're at and where they want to go and what's keeping them from it, the better you can present your offer in a way that this is exactly the thing that you need to get from the situation you're in to the situation that you want to be in. You're fitting the offer directly to them, which is, by the way, one of the reasons why so many high ticket sellers, like high ticket providers, do sales calls, is because there's no better way. Like people really need to believe that the thing that you're selling is going to work for them. They don't, if it's a high ticket offer, they probably don't want to just like roll the dice on that. They only want to sign up if they really believe that it's going to work. And so you can build that belief by fitting it to their situation. And you can do that better on a sales call than you can with any kind of like one size fits all marketing. So you fit the offer to the prospect, and then obviously you get the sale, right? You sell them over the call. Do your best to get the sale over the call, because if you get a, oh, that sounds great, let me think about it, their excitement about your offer is only going to go down because now they're talking to you. Now it's top of mind. If they're going to think about it for a day, then like tomorrow, they will have forgotten half of what you told them, and their excitement level will be way down. So I could go into a lot about how to do the call. I'm not going to get into that here. So that's it. That's the 5-step process. Now let me show you how the actual numbers work out here. Now this is going to be different for different offers and different industries, but I'll show you just kind of some like reasonable numbers that are a good rule of thumb here. So the way that this is going to work is you're going to go click. Well, I'm going to just kind of draw out the funnel steps here. So first, the thing they do is they click on the ad. Some of the people who click on the ad will opt in and will become leads, right? Some of the people who become leads will fill out an application. And notice you're dropping off at every step here, right? Not everybody that clicks is going to be a lead. Not everybody that opts in is going to fill out an application, etc. So you got your applications, then you got your calls, and then of some of the people that talk to you on the phone are going to actually buy from you. So you get sales. So this is the funnel. You go from clicks to leads to applications to calls to sales. So typical cost per click I've found to be about $2. Again, this is the part, well, all of these numbers will vary somewhat depending on your industry, but generally a $2 cost per click is pretty decent. Not super amazing, but pretty decent performance. Now, you don't want to get too hung up on this, by the way, because quality is more important than quantity here. So if you can get like 10-cent clicks from somebody on the other side of the world that like doesn't have any money at all to spend with you, like then it's much better to get a good person for $2 than a bad person for 10 cents. Right? So like don't get too hung up on the on getting this as low as possible. So $2 clicks, and then of the people who click, how many become leads? Generally 20% is a pretty normal number from that, right? 20% of people who click on the ad will then fill out their information on the next page. So if you're getting clicks for $2, 20% of those become leads. That means that for each lead, you're spending $10 on ad spend. And then of those leads, about 10% of people will apply. That's pretty decent numbers. 10% of leads will apply to work with you. And then if 10% of leads apply at $10, that means you're spending $100 per application. And then let's say your applications to calls, if you don't have any qualification here, then it's going to be almost 100%. Like if they apply, then they want to talk to you. They're going to book a call for the most part, unless they just can't find a time that works for them. But let's say that you're filtering and you get like a bunch of bad applications, like unqualified applications. So let's say that only 50% of applications will book a call. If that's the case, then that means that you're spending $200 per booked call. $200 in ad spend in order to get one booked call. And then if let's say that you can close 20%, so 20% of your calls turn into sales, which again, 20% is a pretty modest number. This is totally reasonable numbers here. Then you're going to be spending $1,000 to get a sale. So if you're selling something high ticket, so let's say that you're selling something that costs $5 grand or 10 grand or 15 grand. Well, if you spend $1,000 to make $5,000, or 10,000 or 15,000, that's a 5x return or a 10x return or a 15x return, right? So in these numbers are totally reasonable. So that's why this is so powerful. You just let this system run. It puts calls on your calendar. So notice, by the way, that every single step here, except for the call itself, including the email for that matter, all of this is automated. You don't have to do anything. You just set it up and it runs by itself. And then the calls just magically appear on your calendar, and then you take the calls. So this is the only part that you have to do for yourself. Everything else, the system is doing for you. And so assuming that you're decent on the phone and you can close 20%, which again is not a high number. That's not a unreasonable standard by any means. You know, people that are really good will close 50%. So 20% is pretty doable. You're getting sales for $1,000 a piece and making 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever your offer is, from $1,000 ad spend. So like you put $1 in, you get $5 out, and you just do it repeatedly. Now, this system will work with any ad platform. So ads are really nice because you get up and running really fast. You don't have to, it's not like building a YouTube channel where you have to post videos for a long time and like eventually you catch traction, but it may be a year, it may be 2 years, it may be 5 years. You really have no idea. And it's not like doing cold outreach where you're sending people messages and you're spending a whole lot of your time on it. That's the advantage of ads, but technically that's true of any kind of ads. So you could be running YouTube ads, or you could do Facebook ads, or you could do TikTok ads or whatever. And those advantages are the same, but there are certain advantages that YouTube ads has over other ad platforms. And specifically, there are two advantages that are really noteworthy, like really big. So number one is targeting. YouTube ads, you can target people much better on YouTube ads than you can on any other platform because, again, YouTube ads is owned by Google. And so if you're selling advertising services, for example, I can literally, and I do, literally show my ads to people who are already looking for advertising services. Google knows this because Google is tracking what people are searching for on their search engine. If somebody goes into Google and searches for advertising services or marketing services or YouTube ad services or Facebook ad services or whatever, YouTube knows this. Google knows this. So I can target those people specifically. And then the second big advantage is what I call setting. So consider this. Well, first of all, think about what kind of, if you want like a high level of person, and this will depend on what your product is, but if you want like a high level person, like a successful business owner, for example, if that is your target client, then where is the successful business owner more likely to be spending more of his time? Is it going to be scrolling through pictures on Instagram or like scrolling mindlessly on Facebook? Or is he more likely to be like watching educational content on YouTube, like watching tutorials of how to do stuff on YouTube, like listening to long podcasts on YouTube? Which of those is more likely to be a higher quality person? Probably for most people, it's on YouTube. And again, this is industry specific. So if you're selling like help with getting people food stamps or something, then it would be the opposite. You know, then the people that you want are going to be on Facebook or Instagram. So like, you know, consider this for in the context of your business for everything that I'm saying here. Now, there's a second thing to consider here with setting, and maybe I should have like, yeah, maybe I'm going to separate that out. So let's say viewer quality, or maybe I should say user quality. That's what I was just talking about. But we also have settings. So let's say, just for the sake of it, that we're going to reach the same quality of person on either platform. And we reach, and you know, some people do use both platforms. You know, how much they use of each platform probably depends on the user quality. But Like, let's say that we can reach the same guy on Instagram and then again on YouTube. Well, on Instagram, like, what's he doing? So maybe let's say that he's standing in line at the grocery store and he pulls out his phone just because he's bored for 2 minutes while he's standing in line. He opens up Instagram and he scrolls through Instagram. He sees your ad and he says, oh, that looks interesting. He clicks on your ad. He opts in for your free training. And then so that's setting number one. And then setting number two, the same guy, like same person, let's say, is at home sitting on his couch watching a 20-minute long YouTube video about how to do something, and your ad comes up and he says, oh, that's interesting. And he clicks your ad and opts in for your free training. Now, which of those people is more likely to actually watch your VSL? Or which one, let's say, is more likely to watch your VSL right away? Well, probably not the Instagram guy, because he's just pulled out his phone for a couple of minutes and he's just scrolling things mindlessly. But the YouTube guy is already watching videos. He's already comfortable. He's already watching videos. He's in the mood of watching videos. And here you come up with, hey, watch this video. Which of those do you think is more likely to watch your video? Well, obviously the YouTube ads guy, right? And so the Instagram ads guy or TikTok or Facebook or whatever, they're all kind of the same in this situation, is signed up to get your VSL. He was interested, but he's not going to watch it. So he'll probably get an email with a link to it and he'll say, oh, I'll watch it later. Well, what are the chances he's actually going to watch it later? Well, the more time that goes by, the more those chances drop. The vast majority of people that will watch your VSL are the ones who watch it immediately. Like, if they don't watch it immediately, the chances that they will go back and watch it later are drastically reduced. So the setting for YouTube ads is far better than it is for the other ad platforms, which is very important for this number right here, right? So let's say that you get a lead for $10 through either Facebook or YouTube. But this number, the number of leads that actually watch the VSL, and the people that apply are going to be the ones that watch the VSL normally. Well, that number might be like 3% for Facebook versus 10% for YouTube. So even if you're getting exactly the same number in cost per lead or cost per click, your cost per application for Facebook is going to be 3 times higher than it is for YouTube because of the setting of what people are already doing. Now, if you would like to learn the specifics and the granular details and watch me set up YouTube ads step by step, I have other videos on my channel where you can watch me do that. Or if you would like to actually copy and paste my system directly into your business and have my personal support in doing it, then I would invite you to apply to work with me and book a call at dominatethemarketplace.net/YouTube-ads-application. I will put a link to that below so that you have that. And of course, if you like this video, then share it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you soon.